Welcome to the Common Sense Investing, or CSI Show, with Victor McClure and Guy Allard from McClure Capital Wealth Management Companies. Victor and Guy will use their combined 60-plus years of experience to answer your financial questions with their own brand of plain-spoken language and hard-hitting style.
Welcome to the Common Sense Investing Show. I'm Victor McClure.
And I'm Guy Allard with a little more energy. Come on, Victor. This is going to be a great show. We're going to tell folks how to get the best income out of their retirement. Get with it, man. Come on.
Guy is talking here because we just recorded an entire show without my microphone on.
Yes. And we got to do it again.
So this is take two. Now, how long have we been doing this?
Oh, long time.
Decades.
Yeah.
Yes. We're wrapping up the show, and all of a sudden they're like, uh-oh. So
well, we've done shows
your mic isn't on.
In the past when the engineer didn't have the an engineer, by the way, that's no longer with us. As a new engineer looks at us, don't let that happen. And he didn't turn the machine on, so it's not our first rodeo.
Oh, we check this stuff. I mean, we do it forever. Just one day we don't. But. And that show was way better than this. You
it was a great show. I wish you guys could have heard that one. It was awesome.
All right. Well, the market is turning back up this week. It's a lot of the tariff talk, bad tariff talk makes it go down. Good tariff talk makes it go up.
Actuality and good policies, everything's fine. Your
EU,
hair is not on fire. That is correct.
I think the EU said, okay, maybe we're going to eliminate or reduce tariffs, just like you want.
Mexico, amazing. We talked about that in the last show. The president, way liberal, right? Almost socialist, I guess you could say. Good, better, and different. That's a fact. Right. Not even in office yet. And they're talking about him being a pragmatist, being pragmatic and wanting to do border security, certainly on the south side of their country. I don't know about the north, which would be our border, but also wanting to get some trade deals done because he feels it's going to help Mexico. And they thought within 2 months, rumor has it from south of the border, that they're anxious and willing and want to get that done. So if we get that shoe to fall after the European Union shoe fell, all we have to do is get Canada in line, China in line. With the EU, some of the good stuff, you talk about unintended consequences. There also are some intended consequences that we get to enjoy. What about all this gas stuff that Europeans are buying from Russia? The gas pipeline and all of that. They will most certainly shift some of that to us. They're talking about buying more soybeans from the farmers. So a lot of good news. So is our 9-year bull market, Victor, going to run for another 9? That's what everyone wants to know.
Yes. No.
You're absolutely
yeah,
right.
I could. Who knows? But it would be highly unlikely.
You're right.
Remember we talked about the Shiller PE ratio once it gets 30, which is about 32 now. The best return it's ever made in the preceding 15 years is 2.1% a year. That is the best it's ever done.
Oh, Obama years.
And so that happens. It's funny you're talking about the new president of Mexico being pragmatic, and that's what I've always said. I'm pragmatic. I like to solve problems. Well, that's a bad thing now. Remember, you got to be hard right, hard left. You can't be in between.
I tell you.
You're a rhino if you're hard. And I was like, what?
It hadn't been like this since 1860. Think about that.
I've never seen anything like it. If you even say that, well, maybe they got, I believe 90% this way, but 10%, oh, you damn rhino, you're evil, blah. I'm like, right. Holy crap. Or if you say anything about the Tea Party, whatever, I'm like, oh.
Speaking about Shiller, before we get into the meat of the show again, we were at Shiller. Victor and I had the pleasure of meeting him and Ibbotson in New York when we went to the New York Stock Exchange a few weeks back, and they have their own indice, if you will. And their thesis was built on the fact that everyone migrates to the popular stocks, and because of that, they go up sharply and they come down sharply, and they wanted a smoother, gradual growth and decline. So they went with the less popular, less known, but still obviously strong companies, fundamentals, and that sort of thing. Which leads me to my point. I was listening to Charles Payne the other night, and he does a lot of portfolio reviews for his friends and clients, as Victor and I do for ours. And he said, the funny thing is, every single one of them, almost without exception, have about the same 5 to 10 stocks. Google, Amazon, Disney, the ones of you guys that are listening probably have. Netflix, they're great stocks. But if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Right now you're really enjoying it. They're doing good, and that's great. But when they come down, they come down. One of his suggestions, which I'm going to steal, is you might want to have a little more industry, a little more manufacturing, and as Victor and I always talk about, a little bit more balance, because we're certainly getting into the volatility right now.
If you put like our bucket strategy in place, where you've got your income bucket, you've got your cash emergency bucket, you've got your growth bucket. If you have those buckets in place, and you don't go crazy and put all of them in one bucket.
Right.
Right? Remember, all in cash, you're losing to inflation. All in stocks, you're just risking everything on one thing. All in bonds, you're not going to make much, and you could lose if interest rates go up. So you can't put it all anywhere. But if you've got the right distribution strategy set up through the bucket strategy, don't get me wrong, you're not going to like a bear market. You're not going to like a correction. But it doesn't affect your plan. It's not going to delay your retirement 10 years because you had one down year in the market.
And if I could start getting you ready for the transition, it's already happened, but you're not used to it. Things change. It's fluid in the stock market, whether it's financials, whether it's the NASDAQ pre-2000. Everything changes, and you got to be with it and flow with the tide. We've talked about this before, but start changing your thought process, because as of now, the times have changed. This isn't Victor and I, although we're going to be the spokesman perhaps, but Ibbotson and Schiller both said right now, and for the foreseeable future, which might be our retirements, right? Fixed annuities are the new bonds. They're the bond substitute. So when you're thinking about bonds, think about considering fixed annuities. They're paying more. You're not going to lose principal as interest rates go up. With bonds, as interest rates go up with their inverse relationship, if you have to sell it before a 30-year term, you have to sell it at a discount, right? Because the new ones come out at a higher rate, which they're going to buy than your lower rate. So get ready to make the transition. It's already happened. The people in the know already have. Fixed annuities are the new bonds. They're the bond substitute for your portfolios.
And by the way, Ibbotson is Roger Ibbotson. He came out with the Ibbotson charts. He's a Yale professor, economics professor.
Schiller PE. I mean, these guys are somebody.
Robert Schiller. He won the Nobel Prize in economics.
Oh yeah.
These are brilliant people that have done these studies over and over. What's
and
funny?
They call Victor and I at least once a week to get our opinions. I'm just saying.
The one thing that's funny is, remember 20 years ago we started talking about these things on the radio. We were supposedly the first people in the United States to talk about these kind of things as a bond alternative on the radio. And all the other radio shows spent hours saying what jerks we were, how we didn't know what we were talking about. And now...
I'd rather burn in hell.
That's right. Fidelity, Barrel, all those are the worst thing in the world. Every one of those firms now sell them. Every one of the firms, hey, these are pretty good. Now you've got the best, the smartest people in the world saying, something? This would have been a better alternative. Why, if they'd have just listened to us 25 years ago...
They'd be way ahead of the track, wouldn't they?
They wouldn't have gone through all this.
Right.
But it is funny. Like I said, I remember one show going, oh, my gosh, I can't believe this guy's got a Series 7 and a Series 24 and all this stuff. And he's trying to tell you an annuity is better than stocks a month. They go,
I got a new model for us. McClure Capital, the advisor's advisor. How about that? Yeah.
That's what I always tell people. For every Ken Fisher that says annuities are the devil's work, I'll give you a Yale professor, a Nobel Prize winner in economics. It's just a different. Remember, they're just selling competing stuff.
I hope Ken listens to this show, because what we're about ready to go through, and Victor's got some numbers for you, is how when you use these annuities, let's think bonds, in your portfolio to secure your income, it really allows your stock market stuff to skyrocket because it's unencumbered.
Because remember, you're going to have stocks and bonds in your portfolio. You don't.
Absolutely.
If you're 60 years old, you don't want 100% stocks. You've got to have some of that safe stuff. So all we're saying is you can use that the bond allocation, allocate it just a little differently, and I'm going to show you what it does. So let's talk about a couple that's I'm working on right now. This is not some crazy couple. They've saved money. They've been frugal. They're smart. They're not taking huge risks. They're not, they're good with their money.
Consumption's not
Right.
crazy.
Nope, they don't spend a lot. Not going crazy here. Okay, they saved about $3 million. So you got $2 million in stock accounts, and then they also have $1 million in stock accounts, but it's in a 401k. Okay?
So all their money's in the stock, and
That's
they're
right.
50
$3 million in stocks. Now it's got stocks and bonds, all that stuff, right? And what they are doing is there's been a job change, and so they're saying, okay, now we have access to this $1 million 401k. We've done so well with the $2 million in stocks. Let's just add it to that. Makes sense, right? Because why would I change something that's working? Okay, so what I'm trying to tell them is you might consider this strategy. Because remember, accumulation phase versus distribution phase. You can be the greatest accumulator in the world. If you don't allocate the assets properly, you can fail in the distribution, the most important phase of your life.
Amen.
And so that stuff can happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to stress test this portfolio, okay? So let's just assume, I'm not going to say it made a whole bunch. Let's say it didn't make anything. Now, or it made a little bit, but you need a little bit for living. Your kids needed something, whatever. You still got the $3 million. I can talk about at the end of the show what if it all made money. It still works better every single time. I don't care what result you give me, unless you give me about a 15% return a year in the stock. Then that would beat everything. I'm just saying right now, that will beat everything. It won't happen, but it will beat everything.
That's funny.
Okay.
Considering the 20% year we had last year was the biggest year in 20 years.
Right. So, all right. So remember that 4% rule we talked about is now 3%, right? It used to be you could take out 4% a year if you want a 90% chance of not outliving your money. Now it's 3% because interest rates were lower than they were when they invented the rule.
For a 90% chance.
That's right, for a 90% chance. 2.87 is the number. Let's just say 3. So you got this $3 million. Now, if you save that much money, you're probably living on more than $90,000 a year, which is a 3% on that number. Maybe not, maybe yes. Maybe the Social Security plus that is plenty. But let me tell you why that's
even if it is.
That's right. 30% of your money is in a 401k. What happens to 401ks when you get to 70 and a half? They make it. It's a forced income stream. The government, their goal is to drain that thing to zero by the day you die. Now, they're not going to accomplish that because it's always percentages, right? But that's their goal because that gives them the most tax money.
They want the tax money.
Believe me, I know this sounds odd, but the government wants more tax money. I'm just saying. So if you died with this 401k, the required minimum distributions to your heirs would go down because it's based on their age. So it really behooves them to get rid of that while you're alive. So you've got part of your money. So you got this $3 million producing 3% to give you a 90% chance of not running out, $90,000 a year, but you're depleting a third of it because the government is making you required minimum distributions. And so the end result is the $3 million is going down, and your $90,000 a year is going down, right? If it's down to $2 million, well, the best you can get is $60,000 off of that. Well, what happens over time? Do your expenses decrease or increase?
They absolutely increase.
So we've got an issue. Even though you might not run out of money, theoretically, your income's decreasing. And that's very difficult to keep up with bills because your water bill's not going down. Neither is your medical expenses. It's not going to cut in half, even though your portfolio did, right?
And if you're using all of your assets, the whole $3 million, and that's decreasing, when that's gone, where do you turn?
That's right.
There's nothing.
Right. If Social Security is still there, you'll get that.
That's it. So your lifestyle has to get to that level.
And remember, the one thing people don't realize is money now is not like money then. I remember when I was going to work at the nuclear power plant in Glenroe, I was like $80,000 a year, which was a crap ton of money in 1980 something, right?
Is that a real expression? Yeah. I like it. A crap ton.
There's like, what would it be, like 200,000 now, maybe at least 150 or something,
money,
right?
Yep.
So it's a lot. But I remember when I was a kid, I'm going to save $1 million. I'm going to live off the 10% CD. Who could ever spend $100,000 a year? I can tell you, my wife can spend it online right now per year. That's without the groceries and anything else. So it's amazing what it is now that you need millions of dollars. But you think it's going to be different 20, 30 years from now into your retirement? No, it's not. It's going to be the same. So having this assets, even though it might not run out, but this decreasing income stream, what's going to happen is you can't live on 60 because you've been living on 90. So you got to spend more on the principal, right?
Yep.
So this is what happens. So that's the problem, staying in that, if you stress test a portfolio, staying in the accumulation phase instead of starting to get part of your money into the distribution part. So let me give you an alternative. Let's take $1 million of it, the 401k only, because remember that's the depleting asset. Let's put that in an index annuity with an increasing income stream. Now remember, there's no fees on this, no commission, no loads. We get paid. I don't know you guys were worried about that, but we do get paid. But it doesn't come out of your account. How about that? All right, so let's do that instead. We're going to allocate a piece to the income stream. I know this sounds weird. How am I going to end up with more money when you're taking a piece away? I'll show you. Well, what will happen is that, let's say at 67, same kind of stress that we're talking about, worst kind of 10-year periods or whatever. Well, the income starts at $126,000 a year. Remember, in comparison to 90.
That's right.
Remember, you got 90, you had to use all $3 million. I got 126 on just $1 million. Okay, so think about that. Now, if I'm getting 126 out of $1 million, the $2 million, I don't have to touch it, right? I've unencumbered that completely from bills. So that one can continue to grow.
And because of the process, the nuance here is $1 million at 120, $3 million at 90. You're getting $4 million worth of play on $1 million. Who does that?
Well, that's if it doesn't
increase. That's the magic, yeah.
Now, let me give you this. Remember 126 when you're 67. That's what we're talking about them retiring at 67. $248,000 a year when they're 80. When you're 90, it's $384,000 a year. Now, wait a minute. Before, we left it in the accumulation bucket, all stocks and bonds, whatever, with a 90 income 90 decreasing, and a principal $3 million decreasing. Now we've got 126 increasing to 250, increasing to 400, and a principal increasing 2, 4, 6, 8.
And in fairness, that $90,000 payment doesn't have to decrease. Your percentage of what you draw would have to increase to keep a level $90,000 on the normal way to do it, but your balance will decrease much quicker.
Now let me see what you've done here, what you've accomplished. One of the hardest things we ever have to convince people are, we're going to allocate some of your money to an income stream. You're going to have more for yourself, more for your heirs, and more income your entire life. That is, they're like, wait a minute, you're going to take away one, I'm going to have more? Absolutely. Okay? You've now guaranteed your lifestyle with inflation. Till you die, you cannot go broke. Your portfolio balance will increase the rest of your life. Your income will increase the rest of your life. You start with more income, and you end with more income. You start with more balance, you end with more balance. You've taken money out of the after-tax account, the before tax with the 401k, you've shed that money because, remember, you've unburdened the other piece. You've allocated that money into the after-tax. So now, let's say you want to buy a vacation home in Florida or Colorado or whatever. You want to spend $1 million, whatever the number is. Well, you can take $1 million out of the after-tax account. Or you can take $2 million out of the IRA because you're going to pay half of it in taxes, right?
Yep.
Let's say you die with the IRA, because what happens is people always spend the after-tax money first if they stay with this accumulation side instead of what I'm proposing here, because you don't have to pay taxes when you don't have to, right? I can take just 90 grand if I need 90. I got to take 120 out if I need 90 net, right? If you're taking out a 401k. So what they end up with is a big 401k, little after-tax money. When you leave that to your kids, what happens? 90% of every inheritance is spent within 18 months. Actually, I'm sorry. It's 99%. 99% are spent within 18 months. So you meant to leave them $2 million, you leave them $1 million. It's half of what you thought, so you're leaving them after tax money. Why don't you leave them this other money? Leave them after tax money, so they get $1 million, they got $1 million. If you leave them in stocks, they get a stepped up basis.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter what you paid for the stocks. If it's tripled, they start at tripled. So you leave the real money to your heirs, real money for you if you want to buy a vacation home or whatever, a boat, whatever you want to do. So you've left more for you, you left more for your heirs, you have more income for you, more income the entire life, increasing the rest of your life, all by making one allocation change once. What if situation wasn't that good? What if you couldn't save more money? Because a lot of people, well, I would have saved more. What if you couldn't? This guarantees if you save more, you still have more on every single account.
Again, and I really want to pull the nuances out of this, because a lot of you cerebral folks, you guys that are really good with math and you do the spreadsheet, say, well, that's all well and good, but 3 million produces 90 at 3%. I only need 50,000. That's 40,000 more a year at 3%. I don't need it. I'll never run out of money. My course is fine. The deal is unencumbering, not making all of your money have to provide income for you. Sequence of risk.
Returns risk.
Returns risk is what we're talking about. When you withdraw from an asset that goes up and down, you don't get the growth out of your money that you think you would. Even if 1.5% is all you have to withdraw, and you only have to draw $45,000 when you could draw $90 and deplete the account. If you take a part of that, a third of that, $1 million, or a sixth of that, $500,000, whatever your needs are, and secure your income, guarantee it, absolutely, that's what you're going to get. You're not going to have an issue. Now you can do the things Victor's talking about, whether it's a home or a toy or whatever it is you enjoy, because that money doesn't have to serve two masters.
Well, just think about this. I mean, you're in retirement, and you need $100,000 a year out of the $1 million. You could probably take that and probably not run out of money, but here's one thing that happens. That's the sequence of returns risk. You're taking out $100,000 a year. The market does drop 50% again, just like it has 2 times this century. In the last 18 years, it's done it twice. Let's say it does it. What do you have after 1 year on $3 million? $1.4 million is what you got left. So now you're like, well, wait a minute. Now how long will $100,000 a year last you?
And let's say you have some growth. Let's err in your. Let's say you have 1.8 because you had a few $100,000 in growth.
Yeah. Well, how long is it going to last you?
Yeah.
It's called the death spiral for a reason. The sequence of returns rates, I like calling the death spiral.
Yeah, but Victor, we all know that the market usually goes up 20% after a big decline. Well, you're getting 20% of half your money, and you lost 50% of 100% of your money. It's a big difference.
It's something that I don't. That's why you can't leave it all on the same thing that you've done for 30. You could have done it for 40 years before retirement. You can't do it when you're preparing for retirement or in retirement. To me, like I said, maybe I'm too conservative. Maybe it just is really attractive to me to know that, because I know this sequence of returns risk. One down year, I'm down 50, 60%. You cannot recover. I know that. But maybe I'm too conservative, because to me, if I can allocate 25, 30% of my assets right now, it'll guarantee a pension till I die that increases till I die. I'll have more money in the bank after tax money. That makes all the sense in the world. But I guess a lot of people, they're not planners. They're not thinking this way. They're thinking, no, I don't understand that. It's much easier just to keep doing what I'm doing, because, boy, that thing made 20% in 2017.
Change is difficult.
Yeah.
Guys, it's much worse than this, but here's some simple math. The market's averaged 4.95% the last 18 years, right? You're withdrawing 3. So you think regardless whether the market's up or down, 3 from 5, I'm still going to make 2%. I'm still making money. It doesn't work that way. It takes you negative fast.
Negatives count twice as bad against you as your positives count for you.
Because of the withdrawal.
That's right. So because once you take a negative, the interest you earn in the preceding years is based on a fraction of what you started with. And so anybody that tells you should stay all one thing. Now, a lot of people will go the bonds. We're talking about this is similar to the bond, because you're going to have part of that money in bonds. Just allocate it to something like this. It's safe as a CD. You're getting more interest, and it creates that increasing income stream. When you add all that together, it gives you more money every single time. I've always I said I'd love to debate on a national scale, because some people say you should never do this, you should don't. I'm like, there's always a place for a low-cost annuity. There's always a place for stocks and bonds. There's always a place for money markets, CDs.
Yep.
It just depends on how you're allocated, what you need in income, your income needs, your longevity needs. Some people, they're dying now at 70. Well, we don't need to plan that long. You still might want to. My stepmother, they said she was going to die. They said she's got all kinds of spots in her lung, big smoker. She'd take the oxygen mask off just to take a puff, that kind of smoker.
Yeah.
And they said, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you won't live past the year. And we're like, we're all sad because, my stepmother's a good person and all that stuff. That was 18 years ago. She's still going.
That's awesome.
You just never know.
No.
You never know. And that's why I tell people, I go, even if nobody in your family's lived to 90, that's 30 years stuff ago. By the time you're 90, it could be the average is 110.
Tables have changed.
Right.
They're increasing them.
That's why I want to guarantee something forever. Even if I could buy a 10, 20-year bond and I think I'm pretty safe there, that doesn't mean I am. What if I keep living and prices keep going up? Remember medical inflation? The real inflation's only gone up 2.5% in the last 20 years. What is medical inflation
doing?
Oh, my
Lord.
7% a year. That's crazy numbers. It was higher than that. It's come down a little bit, believe it or not. But so if you can't account for that, plus, remember, Medicare is almost broke. It really is. Social Security runs out 2035 or something. And you're like, that's a long way away. It'll hit you quicker than you think.
Yep.
They got to make changes to that. Well, Medicare's already there. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, maybe your medical costs are 10 times what they are now, because maybe they means tested. Maybe this couple with $3 million isn't going to pay a normal Medicare premium of a couple $100. Maybe it's a couple $1,000. You have no, or they just say, sorry, no Medicare for you. Now you got to get private insurance when you're 80. What does that cost? Well, they've already determined you're rich, so they don't have to, right?
That's right, self-insured.
So those are the things you got to protect yourself on. What if they do the same thing for Social Security? Remember this whole thought of Social Security, I put my money in there, it should be that. It's not really. If you want to look at your Social Security, I've maxed it out for 30 damn years in a row. You ain't put that much in compared to what you're getting out.
That's right.
Trust me, you might have put in a few $100,000, you're going to get $3-4 a month if you max it. And that's the maximum, right?
Right.
Other people put in 100 and they're getting $2,500 a month. So it's not really your money. It is a government service. I do think we deserve it. Don't get me wrong. I really want it.
Yeah,
But to be that only source of your guaranteed livelihood scares the living crap out of me. Your only source is, well, the stock guy said it was going to be fine. Now, we love stocks. Remember, our managed accounts are at Fidelity. I love stocks. I will always do stocks. But I'll do them as part of a plan. I'm not going to do them just a guy's 40 years old. He's got the exact same plan as a 70-year-old. He just keep him in the same plan because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't change anything. Even though mathematically, use a bucket strategy, I'm telling you, you always end up better. I can show you mathematically anytime, any day, why you'll always end up with more income and money after taxes every single time.
And here's a real good test. We know what it should be, right? The liquidity, the income's taken care of, and then, of course, the stocks. But here's a real simple test to see if your allocations are correct. Does the volatility of the market right now make you nervous? If it does, your allocations probably aren't correct. Because if you have your income guaranteed, taken care of, that bucket, your liquidity's there, you're not worried about the market right now. Because you know it's going to go up and it's going to go down, and you're going to do fine. Because you got the right things in there.
Well, when you're in stocks, it's human nature. When they start going down, I'm getting out of that dang thing. You don't get out of the top. You wait for it to go down a bit. I'm not going to get out. It's still going up.
That's right.
Wait for it to go down a little bit. Now I'm out, right? I'm like, oh, thank gosh. And it keeps going down. I'm like, woo, I'm a genius. Thank goodness I got out of that dang stock market. Then it starts going up. You're like, uh-oh, this could be a false rally. I'm not going to wait a while. You never get it at the bottom, do you?
No, you can't.
It's got to go up for a while.
That's right.
You just lost out on 90% of the rebound is what everybody does.
All sorts of studies proving that.
Prove it every day. There's no way you get out of the top and back in at the bottom. You're going somewhere in between, losing most of that rally. That's why the average consumer, I'm talking the average consumer, since the market the last 18 years made 5, made 2.5. It's because of emotion.
And fees.
Now, well, what if you had your income needs guaranteed for your life? Your lifestyle that you're accustomed to, guaranteed forever. You're guaranteed to have more money than you ever started with. You can stay with that stock account. You don't have to sell into a bear market. You can do all of the things you're supposed to do because now all of your stock portfolio is completely unburdened from having to pay any expenses. Makes sense.
If you find that 1970 C10 pickup that you've always wanted, of course you sell some stocks and you make that purchase.
Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to the Common Sense Investing Show. Remember, this is what we've done for 30 years each. Call us and we'll give you an honest, unbiased assessment of what you have.
No obligation at all.
It's 972-715-2424. Again, 972-715-2424. You can always go to our website, ilovemyretirement.com. Remember, at that website, we also have some videos on there. There's some good videos talking about income phases versus accumulation phase. A lot of different things about the general rules of retirement planning, financial planning are on there. There's also some white papers that get restocked every month or two that I think you'll have some interest in. There's some online calculators. A lot of good stuff. It's ilovemyretirement.com. We got that one, years ago? That's pretty good.
Yep.
Well, remember, 972-715-2424. I'm Victor McClure. For Guy Allert, we always appreciate your time.
The preceding show is paid for by McClure Capital and is for informational purposes only and not a solicitation or representation of any particular investment product or service. Any views and opinions do not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Consult with your appropriate professionals before making any investment or savings decisions. Always consider your risk tolerance, time horizon, and objectives in making any financial decisions. There is never any guarantee of future success or performance.